Welcome to Bandsaw Box Mania. I'm Todd from TS Wood & Leather. These are offcuts, scraps, and oddball pieces that I'm going to use to glue up and make blocks to turn into bandsaw boxes. So first step is to cut them to size, flatten them, glue them up into solid blocks, then we can head over to the bandsaw. I have 12 different designs that were drawn up by my daughter, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin. And we're going to make beautiful bandsaw boxes. I'm also going to show you some other projects that you can do with the offcuts and cutouts from these bandsaw boxes.
So now what we have are pieces that are all cut to length and cut to width. Unfortunately, as you can tell, they're not all flat. So we're gonna run these through the table sander. I think is gonna be the quickest and best way of doing it. Some of them are pretty thin. The planer would just tear them up. One of my favorite parts, this is where we get to pick the patterns. And I've got multiple stacks here, so we're gonna make all sorts of different patterns. We're gonna just mix it up and see what we come up with. So we gotta leave them overnight. Bandsaw Box Mania. So I have all the bandsaw boxes cut out and organized so they're back where they need to be. All the pieces are inside. The drawers are all cut out, and there's all the plugs of what was cut out of the drawers. And then this one, for example, is disassembled. So I have the bottoms, or the backs of the drawers, the back of the cabinet itself, and then the drawers. Those are the plugs. They can be discarded for now. And then those are the fronts of the drawers. So now it's just a cleanup process and gluing.
A tip to save a whole lot of time and effort is to flock the inside of the drawers and the cabinets. Flocking eliminates the need to sand the inside of the drawers and the cabinets. It'll cover up all the bandsaw marks. If you're not familiar with flocking, that's coming up in a couple minutes. If you do want a wood finish on the inside of the drawers, I highly suggest that you sand the pieces prior to gluing them together. You can sand them up by hand, but it takes a long time. An oscillating drum sander works great, especially in the radiuses on the inside of those drawers.
What do you do with the plugs from the drawers that you cut out for your bandsaw boxes? One of the things I do is I make scoops. And so this was the original plug, and then I just cut it again, slide it, the internal piece back, glue it back together, and then cut out the handle on the bandsaw, do some shaping and a little bit of sanding, and you got yourself a scoop. Boom. That's how it turns out. Isn't that nice? Scrap into treasure.
A trick to marking near perfect thicknesses on curved pieces of wood: just lock your pencil into your grip and then use your middle finger as your guide going around the outside edge of your piece. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. Here's another trick. If you have glue squeeze out in a really tight space, just take a plastic straw and cut it to a point, and then scrape out the glue. It really is just that easy.
Due to bandsaw boxes, because you cut the front and the back off the drawer, the kerf of your bandsaw blade leaves the drawers shallower than the rest of the case. So there's different ways of fixing that. So one of the ways that you can fix it is by putting tape or something on the back of the drawer, and that'll keep it from going too deep. I'm gonna glue in these spacers on the very bottom of the case, and then when you put the drawer in, boom, it's flush. I'm gonna router the edges of this, both the case and the drawer, so that'll help disguise it a little bit. Once that's flocked on the inside, nobody will ever see these little spacers. Nobody's gonna look in there, so that fixes the problem of the drawers being recessed.
I'd never even heard of the term flocking before I started this project, but it's super easy. You can buy kits on Amazon or at craft stores. All it is colored glue and colored powder. My biggest tip is to do the flocking before you do your final sanding. That way, if you get glue on the case, like I did, you can still sand it off. Flocking is like a felt lining, but it's seamless and it's thinner. It leaves a really good finished product, and it fills in that kerf gap.
I've flocked the inside of some of these cabinets of these bandsaw boxes, red and black, and now we're going to do some recovery of the extra powder that's down inside these. And how I do that is I just get a baking sheet like this so it doesn't go everywhere, and just stomp it out, and you get a whole bunch of powder back. And then after you're done doing that, then you can just get a funnel. I made a little funnel, and I can fill up my jar back again with this excess.
My absolute favorite part of the whole process is finishing. And I used Odie's oil for finishing all of these bandsaw boxes. It's a great product, easy to apply. It gives a really good sheen, a nice finish, and it's a good protectant too for the wood. It's been around forever, and I understand now why so many people rave about Odie's oil.
So this is the result of Bandsaw Box Mania. I ended up with 12 bandsaw boxes. I made some scoops out of the cutoffs. I made nesting trays and regular trays out of the cutoffs, and then a whole bunch of coasters. Very little waste after I was all done, but tried to utilize every piece of wood that I could in some way or form and not waste anything. The best thing that I learned about doing this was how to set up my bandsaw. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there about how to set up a bandsaw. I highly suggest you look into them. You have to make sure your fence is parallel to your blade, your top is perpendicular to your blade. Setting up the bandsaw is essential for doing really good work. I also learned which bandsaw blades to use. My favorite was the 3/16 4-tooth per inch skip tooth blade. It gave me nice tight radiuses, clean cuts. It didn't bind, it didn't jam up, and it worked for everything. You can go down to an 1/8 inch for really tight turns and radiuses, but the 1/8 inch can't cut through really heavy material. You can go to a 1/4 inch blade if you don't have tight radiuses, but the 3/16 inch blade was really the overall winner as far as blades to use. Some of these are going to go on my website, some of them are going to be gifts, some of them are going to local stores, and I really hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this was a long video. Bandsaw Box Mania. Till next time, love you. See you.